Hi, welcome back to From Pen to Page. Today, we're going to continue our look at some of the construction documents you need to finish your short story, your screenplay, or your novel. So stick around and tune in. So we're back, and we're talking about those construction documents, those things that you need to kind of have as a reference point for your short story, your screenplay, or your novel. Now, last time we talked about having a plot line, we talked about a cast of characters and those things, but this time we're going to talk about the antagonist's agenda. What is the antagonist's agenda? Basically, the antagonists or the bad guys or the big bad things master plan. Now, why do you need to have that? Because if you don't know what your antagonistic force is planning to do before your protagonist jumps in and messes it all up, you're not going to really know where you're going with your story. So plotting out the master plan that your antagonist would complete, if not for the protagonist jumping in, is a huge document. It's a big deal, and you're going to want to know it. Do you need to know every step of? No, of course not. You don't. But you should at least write down what you do know on paper. Have it written down. Have it figured out. Remember, when you're writing the conflict, and conflict is needed for any story, but when you're writing the conflict between your protagonist and your antagonist, it's like a game of chess. You're going to want to know, if your antagonist does, one move over here, how will your protagonist counter that, or will they counter it? Similarly, if the protagonist does something, how does the antagonist go against that? And how might those plans of the antagonist or the protagonist change as the action and the tension builds throughout your story? So having that plan in place, just a very rough draft of what your antagonist's goals are, is a good idea to have. And something simple, doesn't need to be very long, but it should be present. The second thing that you're going to want to look at is a narrative summary. A narrative summary is not your entire plot line, okay? It's not every single scene. A narrative summary can best be described as how you would explain your story to a friend. So imagine you're at like a bar or like a club or a restaurant, and you're sitting with your best friend, and you're going to describe the high points, the basic points of your story. And it would probably go around something like this. The story is about a guy who's an undercover agent for the CIA. Well, he gets an assignment that puts him in danger, and it might be considered he's a rogue agent, right, from his own government. Well, then he has to go to Pakistan, but then he gets caught. And then we find out the woman in the local marketplace, unknown to our good guy, is also an agent. She works for Mossad. And then she sees our hero spirited away in an old van. And then, now, I'm not describing, in that example, I'm not describing the dialogue. I'm not describing scene. I'm not, trying to make it sound literary. I'm just describing the main points of the plot. First, this happens, then this next thing happens, then this next thing happens, and so forth and so on. And again, it ties into that antagonist agenda. Again, having that narrative summary so that the antagonist knows what they're doing to stop the protagonist from winning is also so important. So those are all, at this point, all of the construction documents that you need to kind of move forward with your story. Now, you're saying, well, what if I already started the story and I don't have any of them? It's okay. You can always go back and create those as you work. It will help you streamline your thought process and your writing process. So these are good things to have just with you. Remember, no one else is ever going to see these things. These are just for your reference. I hope that these tips on construction documents in this video and the last video were helpful. If they are, please like and subscribe from Pen to Page. And consider checking out my website, www.glengable.com, and subscribing to my mailing list. There you'll hear about the latest promotions I'm doing with The Soothsayer and any new books that are coming out. And occasionally I do give out freebies too. So please check those out when you can. And I hope to see you next time.